Hello everyone. Today I am going to do part 2 of my AWS CLI series. In the first video I showed you how to configure the CLI with your Mac or Linux machine, your local computer. Now in this video I will show you how to do a lot more. We are going to create something. This is a really crappy diagram that I put together, but we will be creating a VPC. That's the yellow part. The blue part will be a public subnet. There will be another private subnet, and we will create an internet gateway, a NAT gateway, and we'll put a web server, and we will need a security group, a key pair, and we will be doing every single thing from the CLI. Now this is very powerful stuff, because you don't have to use the console anymore. Sometimes if you don't have any way to use the console, then this is the way you can do everything. A lot of things can be done through the CLI, and I'm going to show you how to get started with the VPC. Okay, now for some reason the command for VPC goes like this: AWS EC2 and blah blah blah. So in my last video we did the S3, and if you haven't configured your CLI, then please go check my first video. I'll be linking that on the description. I show how to use Amazon S3, create buckets, delete buckets, copy stuff from your computer to your buckets, stuff like that on the first video. And for that you need to configure the CLI on your computer. I'm using a Mac, and if I do AWS, then you can see that I have to put something, but it is installed. Okay, so I'm going to clear this, and we are going to start creating our VPC. Now one thing before I start, I want to emphasize tagging your stuff. Okay, tagging is important because you don't want to be in a mess where you don't know which resources is which, which instance is your application instance, which VPC is this, especially if you have VPCs with the same CIDR, which is the public and private subnet. You don't want to be checking the route table every time you want to figure out which one is which. That consumes a lot of time, so you just tag them, and it's really easy to distinguish which is which. So we are going to be tagging almost everything we create. So let's get started with creating our VPC. Okay. The command is AWS EC2 create VPC. I'm gonna minimize this window just so the thing is on the center of the screen. AWS EC2 create dash VPC CIDR and block. So I'm going to choose 10.0.0.0/16. Enter. There we go. Our VPC ID is right here. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to use this to tag our instance. So AWS EC2 create tags. This is how you tag something, and you just say resource and paste the VPC ID and tags key equals name value without a space. Okay, value equals CLI public, I'm sorry, CLI VPC. Okay, I'm just gonna name this CLI VPC. You can name this anything, and make sure you don't have a space after name and comma. So enter. Oh, create tags. see I got an error saying there was something wrong, and there we go. Okay, I'm going to show you that just to go back, the VPC I had was VPC 585, and I named it, I tagged it CLI VPC. So let's go to Google Chrome. Okay, and I'm in Northern Virginia, and I don't have anything in here, but if I refresh, there we go, CLI VPC. It's nicely named, so I can separate this is this, and these are the ones I already had, so I know which one is which. And just to confirm, CIDR is 10.0.0.16. so there we go, we just created a VPC from the CLI, and we're gonna do a lot quicker now. This was just to give you an idea how to get started. Okay, so let's start actually creating our subnets now, the blue part, right? We need the subnet, and for that I'm gonna say instead of create VPC, I'm gonna say create subnet, and we are going to actually we need to specify the VPC ID for this, because the subnet needs to be in the VPC. So I'm going to say VPC ID. I already have it copied, so this was my VPC ID. And the CIDR block, we still need the CIDR block, and instead of 0.0./16, I'm going to say 10.0.1.0/24. Enter. There we go, we just created a subnet, and you probably guessed what I'm going to do next. I'm going to tag this, and I'm just going to copy the subnet ID, and I'm going to, in the resources part, I'm going to put the subnet, and name is name, value. The first subnet I will have is going to be CLI public subnet. The next one is going to be private. Okay, so enter. All right, so we have so far a VPC and a public subnet with a CIDR of 10.0.1.0. So we can just reuse the command that we used for the public and make a private subnet with a 2.0. Okay, enter. All right, so we just made another subnet, and we are going to name this private subnet. Okay, so I'm going to copy the subnet ID first. Okay, and create tags. Instead of public, this time it's going to be private, and make sure to change the resource name. All right, so just to go back, so this is the VPC we created. Now if we go to subnets, you can see CLI private subnet, public subnet. They're nicely named, so you know which one is which. All right, so our next thing will be to create an internet gateway. Now, and an internet gateway is something that will help you connect with the outside world. If you don't have an internet gateway on your VPC, there's no way you can use the internet, connect with the internet. So it's super simple to create a internet gateway. Just like if you use the console, all you need to say is AWS EC2 create internet gateway. Oops, what did I do? I put the dash in the wrong part. Okay, so EC2 create internet gateway, and although we don't need to tag the internet gateway as much as we need to tag the other stuff, I'm just gonna tag it anyways. So the value is going to be CLI internet gateway, and the resource will be the gateway ID. So this will be tag 2. Try to tag everything. That's what I recommend. Okay, so internet gateway. Now if you have created a VPC from the console, you probably know that you need to attach the gateway to the VPC. It doesn't know that the VPC that we created will be using this gateway, because we can create multiple gateways. You know, there's no way for AWS to know that this VPC is working with this gateway. So we're gonna attach the gateway to the VPC, and the command there will be AWS EC2 attach. So attach internet gateway. Okay, and we need to specify the ID. So internet gateway ID, and I already copied that for tagging. I'm gonna paste that ID and say VPC ID, right? Because we also need the VPC to be attached to. So the VPC ID is going to be, we gotta go up and find it. So this is our VPC, copy, and right here, paste. All right, so the gateway is attached to the VPC that we just created. Now there's no tagging in this, so we are just going to continue with our plan. And the next thing I'll be doing is to create a NAT gateway. Now a NAT gateway is used for our resources in the private subnet to access the internet. And although this is really not required, I just want to show how easy it is to create and sign an elastic IP. So just follow along if you are following. If you do this, it's super simple. So we're going to create an internet gateway, NAT gateway now. So it's similar to the internet gateway, EC2 create NAT gateway, and we do need to put the subnet. Okay, we now if you have made a VPC before, you know that the gateway will sit on the public subnet, right? So I'm just gonna, for ease, I could just go back to the CLI and find the subnet, but I'm just gonna copy this because I know this is the public subnet, and I'm kind of cheating because I said I would use everything from the CLI, but here we go. This will be the subnet that I'll be putting the gateway in, and okay, so actually I'm just gonna copy everything over here, and I forgot a step. So before we do the gateway, we need to create an elastic IP address for that gateway, because it's a NAT gateway. It will need an IP address. So I'm gonna say AWS EC2 allocate address I missed an L. Okay, there we go. So we just got this allocation ID, which we will use to create the NAT gateway. Okay, oops, a mistake. Okay, we're gonna do that all over now. AWS EC2. I don't know why I always do this thing. Put the dash after EC2. But anyways, create NAT gateway, and subnet ID is going to be this again. And I think this will be like this. Okay, subnet ID, subnet, and allocation ID is going to be the one that we just copied from here. So this is the allocation ID. So we're just giving it an IP address for the NAT gateway. So copy and paste, enter. Okay, so we just created our NAT gateway, and it's always a good idea to tag. So I'm just gonna tag gateway ID is right here, and I'm gonna say CLI NAT gateway. Make sure to change the resource name because we don't want to change the internet gateway to this name. Okay, so NAT gateway, enter. Perfect. So just to get an updated confirmation, just go to your VPC NAT gateways, and there is, CLI NAT gateway status pending, and I don't know, it should have an IP address. Okay, while this is still pending, we will create our route table. Okay, now route table is something that will help the subnets talk with each other or the internet. So every subnet has a route table, and therefore we will have two route tables in this scenario. So we are going to start with the first route table. Let's say AWS EC2 create route, and you can just see that it's very intuitive. It's just always the same kind of convention: create dash route dash table, create internet dash gateway. So it's very easy to remember. I don't have this memorized myself. I'm looking at a different screen, but you will get used to it. It's very easy to work with, at least. So create route table, and I have to say VPC ID. I don't say subnets because we are going to attach it to a subnet later, associate it with a subnet later. We just have to say which VPC the route table will go into. So again, we will need the VPC ID, and for that we will have to go up and find our VPC ID. So this is the VPC ID. Go all the way down. So I'm just saying create a route table and put this into the VPC. Okay, so enter. Right, so we have the route table. Now I'm gonna quickly, like you guessed, name this CLI route public. So this is going to be the route table for the public subnet, and the resource name will be okay. So we have one route table. Now I'm going to say create another route table, and instead of public, it's going to be private this time, and the route table ID is right here for the private. Now I am saying public and private, but what makes subnet public or private is whether it has access to internet or not. So far they are not private or public. We're just naming it like that, but we will make them public and private very soon. Okay, so if we go to our subnets, we have a private and public that we just created, and route tables, CLI route private, CLI route public. We check the routes. No, they just have local routes right now. Okay, so we are going to add routes, of course, from the CLI. Now the first thing we will do is add a route from the public subnet to the internet. Okay, so for that we need to say AWS EC2 create route. Okay, and we will need the route table ID. So the first route table we had was this one. We are going to add route to the public. So this is the create route table ID, paste it, destination, and destination is going to be to the internet, right? So we just can't say a destination of the internet, so we have to do something like this: destination CIDR block 0.0.0.0/0, and this is the same everywhere on the internet. And obviously the target is our internet gateway. So we are saying in the route table, the target of the route, the destination is the internet right outside somewhere, and the destination of that route is it will pass through the internet gateway. So destination, I mean, like gateway ID, the gateway. I'm sorry, I don't know if I confused you, but we will need to provide a gateway if you need to go to the internet. So gateway ID is going to be the IGW that we created some while ago. So right here, so internet gateway. Oops, I don't know what happened, but let's go back. Oh wow, I don't know where it went. Right here, copy, and gateway ID, internet gateway. Everything should be good. Enter. AWS EC2 create route, route table ID, RTB, destination CIDR block. That's okay. Oh, I think I know what I did. I think I missed a space here. My spelling. I'm a bad speller. So destinate, I don't need this. Okay, destination. There we go. So it just created the route successfully. Now what we need to do is to create a route from the private subnet to the internet also, but we will be using not the internet gateway but the NAT gateway we created earlier. So remember, this is just putting routes right now. We haven't said which subnets or anything, we're just saying in this route table this has a route to the internet. So we are going to reuse the command, and instead of the route table 1, we are going to use this route table, the other one that was for the private. and I'm gonna say destination is internet also, but the gateway ID is not the internet gateway but the NAT gateway. And let's just cheat and go over here and find the NAT ID. Okay. Once again, spelling mistake. True, perfect. So far we have the subnets and the route table. Now the thing we need to do is to associate the corresponding subnet with the route table. So route table public was for the public subnet, so we are going to do that. So for that I will need to say AWS EC2 associate route table, and we're associating the route table to the subnet, and first give the route table ID, route table ID, and the first one was this one. This is the public, okay. Route table ID, and I'm going to say double dash subnet ID, and the subnet is going to be the public subnet. So I'm just going to cheat one more time. Subnet public subnet. What's the ID here? Right here. So this is the public subnet ID, and what we're saying is associate the route table route table that was made for public, that has a route to the internet through the internet gateway to my public subnet. And here we go. Oops, I don't know what I don't think I copied it properly. What the hell? Oh. So that didn't work, but what we can do is say up and say subnet ID and enter. Okay, association ID, right? Now we have it associated. Now what we're going to do is the same thing, but for a different route table and the different subnet. So this time our route table is going to be 45. Route table is going to be this AO. Okay, and the subnet is going to be the private subnet. And once again, let me come over here and use the shortcut. Okay, and there we go. Now we have them associated with each other. What we need to do is to create a security group. Now the security group is like a firewall that says what what should I allow coming into my resources, or what traffic should I allow going out of my instances or my resources, to be precise. So to create a security group, what we do is say AWS EC2 create security group name, and you gotta put this, so let's just name it something. I'm gonna say CLI web security group, and description is something that's required, so just follow the convention. My security group, something, anything over here. Description is just your choice. And VPC ID. Okay, now you need this because the security group has to be associated with a VPC. You can just use VPC security group from a different you can use a security group from a different VPC. In fact, I had an error because I tried to use a security group from another VPC, from the default VPC. So just make sure you include the VPC ID over here. And actually, I just have the VPC ID right here. Okay. Right. Oops. I don't know why this keeps happening, but VPC ID, the VPC. Okay, so I just created a security group that I'm going to use for my web instance. So we will not be creating anything on the private subnet. We just have it there. We have a NAT gateway, so it's kind of we're building infrastructure. We're not building everything. You know, we're looking out for the future. For now, we're just going to leave the private subnet empty, but the security group right here, this one, is going to be used for the web server, which we will provision, and we will actually put something and try it out. You know, try logging in through SSH and have a web server running. So this what I did here was just create a security group, nothing nothing more. Now what we need to do is, how about we tag this? AWS EC2 create tags, resources, security group, tags, key equals name, comma, space, value equals command line interface, create group. Okay, there we go. All right, now we need to add rules, right? Inbound, outbound, whatever rules we need. Now by default, all the outbound rules is open. You know, every traffic is allowed to go out. So in the security group, we need to allow whatever traffic we need. And in this case of a web server, we need to allow HTTP traffic on port 80 to come in for us to be able to use the web server. So we are going to do just that. AWS EC2 authorize security group ingress group ID, and the group ID is going to be the security group we just created. We're going to add the rules to this. Okay, so security group and protocol is going to be TCP. Port is going to be 22 for SSH, and CIDR is going to be anyone. Anyone can SSH into this instance. Now I can make this my IP, so only I can do it for security reasons, but for this I'm just gonna say anyone can do it. Alright, so the same thing, but this time we're going to say port is going to be 80, and the CIDR, the same thing. Anyone can come into my web server. Alright, perfect. So we have two rules. Just to check, if I go to my security group here's the tag CLI security group that I just created, inbound rules. Oh no, actually this one is the one I just created, right? GR. If you just, here we go, GR. This one is the one I created earlier. This one is the one I created. I just put 22 and 80, and you can see it is added. I love CLI, it's super cool. Okay, so what we need to do now is to create a key pair so that we can launch an instance. Okay, so we will need to create a key pair for us to be able to log in or SSH into our EC2 instance that we will be creating very soon. So for that we need to create a key pair. So the command to create a key pair, like a simple key pair, is EC2 AWS EC2 create key pair and key name, and I can say anything, I can say KEY blah 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 blah, and I'm doing this because I want to show you something. If I just say enter, then I'll get this piece of file, but I also get all these other things. Now what I want is only this part, right from where it says begin to where it says end, and all the way to the hyphen right before the end of quote. So for that, what we can do is we will have to create a new key pair, and this time I'm going to say my CLI key 1 2 3. I have a bunch of those, so I always have to have some new name. Okay, but what we need to do is to name it, and then we will query this thing called key material. And what this is right here. This is the name for the value of the key pair, right? Key material. So we're just saying whatever is in here, we will need that, and we will output text of that, right? We'll pipe this and out file. Actually, all we have to do is say output text and put it into a name called my CLI key 1 2 3. Let's try this. Okay, so if I cat my CLI 1 2 3, then I can see the key that I want, right? Okay, so this means that we are ready to launch our EC2 finally. And for that, and don't worry, I'll link all the commands that I'm using, and also like a summary of what I did on the description below, so don't worry about that. So EC2 creation, what we need to do is use this command called AWS EC2 run instances image ID of okay, so quickly, if you say launch instance, and you will see the image ID that you will need. If it's Amazon, it's this. If it's Ubuntu, then it's going to be this, but I'm going to use Amazon Linux. So quickly, image ID is this, and count is going to be 1. I just need one instance for now. Instance type is going to be t2.micro. That's the free one. Key name is going to be my CLI key 1 2 3. Hopefully that's what I have over here. Let me make sure. Yeah, my CLI key 1 2 3. Okay, and security group IDs. ID is because we can have multiple security group, but I'm just gonna go to my VPC and find out my security group. I could do that through the console, but I just want to save you some time and do it faster through here. And this, if you remember, this is the one we created earlier. The ID is this, and it has 80 and 22 open. So I'm gonna paste that, and we will need a subnet ID, and we'll do the same thing. We'll go to subnets, and we are trying to launch this in the public subnet, so I'm going to copy the public subnet ID and paste it over here. And I can see that I missed a letter. Subnet ID is going to be this, and finally we need to put something that makes sure that our newly created instance will have a public IP. You can try launching it without this last piece of text, and you will not pretty sure you will not have a public IP. So just gonna press enter, and there we go. We just created an instance. Now what I'm going to do is, I have a lot of instances that I recently deleted, so just to make things easier, what I'm going to do is tag my instance. So AWS EC2 create tags. So the tag is going to be on resources of my my instance ID, and the tags is going to be key of name and value of CLI web server. Okay, hopefully this works. Perfect. So if I come back to my EC2, then I have one running instance. Awesome. I should have one. And here we go, CLI web server. This is initializing, and I can make sure that this has an IP address. Okay, so what we want to do is SSH EC2 user at the IP address, and use my CLI key 123. Okay, so two things. This is not going to work if I press enter. I'm going to do this and I'm going to tell you why. Unprotected private key file. Okay, so quickly we need to chmod 400 my CLI, enter, and let's try logging in, and we are in. Okay, so make sure you always protect your key file with chmod 400 or something, some permission that Amazon will allow you to use, but your key needs to be protected. And there we go, we are in our EC2 instance. Now we will need to, what we can do is sudo yum install pd. Okay, so I just two commands. The first command I did was sudo yum install httpd-y, which installs the Apache web server. And the command that I did after that was service sudo service httpd start, which starts the service. And if you install httpd, if you go into cd/var/ dub h. Okay, so this, I think this is right. Okay, yeah, so this is empty right now, but if you quickly say echo hello, this is a web server I just created with CLI. I also VPC etc. Okay, so I'm gonna put this into H1 just so that it will look nice when I launch it in my web server and not a tiny text. So H1, this is some HTML tags, and I'm going to put this into a file called index.html, which is the default index file for any for Apache web browser. HTML. Okay. Obviously, I think I need a sudo over there. So I will need okay, so I'm gonna copy this. Now we are going to try and here we go. So I just put the public IP in my browser and the web server is running properly. We did everything, at least most of the thing from our CLI, and we did a lot of things. And just to go back and review, we created a VPC, internet gateway, a public subnet, a private subnet. We created 2 route tables. We associated the route tables. We created a NAT gateway, which we didn't make use of in this lab, but we did create a web server, a security group, and we created a key pair. And we launched an instance, a web server with the key pair, and we associated the security group with the instance, and we logged in. Things that you need to remember is that we had to protect our key file, and we had to associate our route table. Don't forget that part, because that's easy to forget. And everything else was part of building that infrastructure. And we did not make use of the private subnet, but that's, like I said earlier, we just are creating a base to get more things done later. Because it's usually a good idea to have a private subnet, so I just thought I would include this in the lab. And hopefully you learned a lot. It was a long lab, but hopefully you learned a lot, and you will be using CLI commands just to try it out. And it's really fun. It's fun, easy. It's satisfying just to use some CLI commands to get everything started, everything done, like a whole infrastructure, like a VPC done. So hopefully you try it out, and you like it, you enjoy doing it, and leave me any comments if you have any, and I will put the description of all the commands that I the source of the commands where I got it from. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.